Are there more headshots in the NFL or NHL, or is there more attention on them? On this week's Four Downs, we're talking concussions in professional sports. As always, we invite you to join the conversation at facebook.com/RBTL Sports, as well as on Twitter @RBTL Sports. We welcome to the show our first female panelist, Andie Bennett, covers sports over at Daybreak on CBC. Great to see you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
To your right is Farrar, radio personality at TSN 690. They're very outspoken. Heard a lot about you. Great to see you on the show. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.
To my left is David Hurley, RBTL contributor and co-host. Great to see you.
Great to be back.
Concussions. It's been a sticking point in professional sports for a very long time. Are there more of them, or is there more attention on them?
Oh, there's definitely a lot more attention on them. I mean, especially in the NFL. If you look since 2009 to 2014, we've had over 25 cases, or 52 cases, excuse me, of CTE after death. So what they've been doing is they had the lawsuit for $750 million, which is horrible. So since 2009, you look at the stats in a game, you had an average of 6 players that had concussions per game, and now in 2014, we're looking at 16 players per game. So there's definitely a little bit more knowledge since they had the settlement for $750 million. So there is a lot more attention. People are more aware to it.
But is there not a double standard in the sense that you look at Jeremy Roenick and how many concussions he's suffered over the course of his career? It was never labeled a concussion. It's one of the reasons
that he knows about.
They didn't exactly didn't know what it was about. So do you feel that plays into the numbers and this whole hype up about being concussion, obviously being so quick to judge it as a concussion?
Well, there's I mean, it's a matter of misdiagnosis or non-diagnosis. If you go back to the 70s, the word concussion meant you're okay. You can go back into the game now. It used to be like, the player get injured, he'd go back in the locker room.
Ice pack.
Yeah, is my brain coming out of my skull? No, dude, you have a concussion? Get back in there, man. Yeah. You're fine. You're not going to remember half of your career, but you're going to be okay. It's just that now the science is advanced enough, and now they can finally diagnose and see what's going on with these guys. And, it's just a little bit more precise. So the diagnosis is there, you get it more and more and more, and that's why you're hearing more and more about it. And they're discovering how dangerous it is as well. Whereas back in the day, just briefly, you could hear it in some of the players that were playing in the 60s and 70s. If you hear Jim Brown talk,
they're like punch drunk.
Yeah.
Well, there was that season a couple of years ago. There was this, a rash of former enforcer deaths, and a lot of these guys donating their brains to science. And I think that's the problem now, is that we just don't know. You don't know if there were more concussions back then because it was just called getting your bell rung. We don't even know how many concussions there are now, and they still don't even know the real effect of concussions and cumulative concussions.
And I don't think they've done a lot to prevent them either, right? We've only done about 10%. There's a study that came out saying that the steps that have been taken is very minimal. I mean, the leagues are not stepping up to the plate here, because per game, it's still sitting about 5.8, 5.9 concussions per 100 games, and that hasn't changed over the last 5-6 years. So you think more is being done, but really
they're starting to act on it. And you mentioned the lawsuit in the NFL, and that's been a huge thing to get people talking about it and force them to do something about it, because you're hitting them where it hurts in the pocketbook. But I mean, everything is sort of like the NHL concussion protocol that has been revised. But we saw as recent as last season in the playoffs where that concussion protocol was not followed. If you actually read the protocol, with that hit to Dale Weiss, he was back out on the ice. He was supposed to go to the quiet room, and he was back out on the ice. I think it was under 5 minutes.
How much responsibility lands on the player?
A ton. I mean, they know what's going on, and they know their own bodies. I mean, at one point, they have to acknowledge there's more to life after than your hockey career. That's why they need to really take care of it. The onus is on them. They really have to take care of themselves.
See, I totally disagree.
Yeah, you can't say that to them in the moment.
Absolutely.
In the moment. They're going to go out there, and these guys,
Yeah.
literally, listen, there's millions and millions of dollars at stake. They're going to go out there, and they're going to do as much damage as they can. They're going to say, well, we have to take care of each other more. Listen, these guys are, in the end, it's a paycheck. It's all about winning, and they're going to hit guys as much as they can. And it's not like they're any nastier than they used to be. If you look at footage back in the 70s, these guys, they're committing felonies on the ice.
Yeah, but
these guys are trying to murder each other. So it is not as
and you see that you see that even more in football, right? The prestigious not losing your position, not losing your job. You miss 2 or 3 games because of an injury.
You can lose your job for sure.
You look at Smith and you look at Kaepernick and you look at what happened there and how he sees the opportunity.
Nobody wants to be a 3rd and 10, third string left tackle. Nobody wants to be that. You want to get out there.
No hockey player, no professional football player, nobody who plays that kind of intense sport with that physicality is ever going to take themselves out of the game. I mean, you cannot put that. You can't put that onus on the player. You have to take that completely away.
There should be a little
from
bit of an onus, but especially with the teams. The teams have to be doing more.
Yeah,
as
and
well.
the league too. I think the league has to step up as well. I heard recently instigating or implementing a rule where the person aggressing would be out for the same amount of time, right? If there was a bigger penalty to pay for those types of moves, maybe it would discourage them to do it. You look at Steckel on Crosby, right? Why is Steckel playing before Crosby when Crosby's out almost a year for that injury, right?
I don't agree with that one. I do agree the way that the NHL does its suspensions for headshots. I mean, if you looked at 2013,
I don't think it's severe enough.
In 2012, excuse me, they had 6 suspensions for headshots. The following year, 16. So at least there's an improvement there. And they take away suspensions. They suspend you for an amount of games. Where in the NFL, if you do a headshot, they'll fine you $50,000.
Yeah.
When you're making $6 million, it's pocket change. Who cares? I'm going to take you out of the game.
Yeah.
And I'll
No
spend that
chocolate
50
bar
grand.
for you at night.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
at the end of the
They
road
are
for them.
getting more serious, but I mean, I agree with you. I don't think the penalties for headshots, the ones that are clear headshots where the guy, I mean, yes, it's a fast game. It's a fast-paced game. There's going to be collisions. But, you know, if they actually wanted to take some of this out, if they wanted to curb fighting the way they say they want to, the suspensions would be much longer.
Punishment, I don't think punishment's going to do anything. We're talking a matter of science. We're talking about physics here. These guys are bigger, faster, stronger than they ever used to be. The equipment they're wearing is like armor. So obviously the NHL is going to go after the players when some kind of headshot is committed, but they shouldn't be doing that. Make the arenas bigger. Change the basics of the game itself. Can't do that because you're hitting the pocketbook of the owners. Yeah. You can't take away 3 rows in the arena. Yeah. When all you have to do is, I mean, I'm not saying going European size arena, but go halfway. Maybe there's a point. Yeah, compromise. There's a point where you can meet and say, listen, let's take away 2 rows over there. We're gonna have less headshots. Players are gonna have a little bit more space. If you go to an NHL game and you watch it live, it doesn't look anything like it does on TV. It's really, it's condensed, it's fast. These guys are passing each other at tremendous speeds, and frankly, it's crowded. There's nowhere to move.
You'll have a tough time with the purists, though. Yeah. The purists won't allow that to happen. You know, they want to keep the essence of the game, the record's the same, etc. But I love the energy. Stay right there, guys, because I want to switch topics. I want to talk about team and David Desharnais. You covered the team quite a lot. I want to see what you think about David Desharnais being a first-line centerman. Is he a pretender or a contender? Stay with us. All that and more, all right here on Reid Between the Lines.